Hello everyone, I'm Carlos Silva from the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal here in Kansas City, Missouri at the Sprint Center, reporting for the Red Raiders pregame chat. As always, we're going to take your comments and questions. You can just put them down right here. And then, of course, as we kind of get all our social stuff going, we'll obviously listen to some comments. And then, of course, for those that are unaware, Oklahoma lost a 71-60 decision. We'll talk a little bit about that game, get some quotes from Chris Beard, get a little bit of what practice looked like today, and then, of course, we'll do some other things as well before we wrap up, hopefully about a 10 to 15-minute conversation with you all on Facebook. Then, of course, for those that are here, of course, you can check out all the Red Raider fans that are chatting as well and kind of want to get some info on that. But first off, I know the biggest news of this week was the fact that Chris Beard signed a new 6-year deal, which was worth about $19.05 million. And starting next year, he'll be making $2.8 million, with $100,000 going up each year from that. So we'll listen to what Chris Beard had to say about that earlier in the week.
Putting trust in our coaching staff and me personally to lead the program. We're just getting started. We've got a vision for this thing to build it to where we can compete for championships on a yearly basis. Where a good year is not getting in the tournament, a good year is getting a good seed where we can make a run. This is our vision, and it's exciting for me personally that I share that with the leadership of this school, especially Tony and Kirby, who I work with on a day-to-day basis. I'm also really appreciative of everybody that came before us. I think the great opportunities that we find ourselves in today with college basketball, from a player point of view, from a coaching point of view, and obviously with the incomes and things like this with the tournament, I think you got to always remember and thank the people that came before us. All the players that played at this school and they didn't have all the luxuries of private charter and facilities like this. Those guys are the ones that created the game that we all benefit from today. And it's certainly with coaching. Again, it's humbling when I think about, my mentors, where Coach Knight started at West Point in Indiana, and then the life that we live today because of basketball. It's because of those people at our school, Gerald Myers and James Dickey and Coach Knight and all these people that came before us. They create the opportunities that we all have today as players and coaches. So on a day like today, I always reflect of where I came from and all the people that helped pave the road.
Once again, that was Chris Beard talking about his new contract extension, or new contract, 6-year deal for about $19 million, just a little bit over $19 million. So he is now wrapped up for the 2022-2023 season. So lots of good things happening for the number 14 Red Raiders, who of course are looking to take on the winner between Texas and Iowa State, who are playing at this moment. Just got to halftime. I'll get that score update after we get that. And then, of course, Bradley Tollefson, who's on the computer since I'm not doing my typical thing, will be providing some comments as he's standing here holding a laptop. So he's doing his work today as our producer and, of course, video editor as well. But, of course, everyone wants to know more about Chris Beard. So here's what he had to say about playing either Texas or Iowa State.
Neither one. I'm not looking forward to playing anybody in this league. Got great respect for both teams. I think Texas is a team that's very, very talented, and Shaka does a great job. They've overcome some adversity themselves. They're playing really good basketball right now, can beat you in so many ways. And then Iowa State's a team that nobody in our league wants to play. They're just they're so close. They've lost a few games, but they've been in every game. They got really talented players. 3 guys on the all-conference team in the Big 12 speaks for itself. We all know what's coming with Iowa State as soon as they get everybody back on board, so nobody wants to play them right now, myself included.
16-3 run.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? I'm back here. And then, of course, I mentioned Texas and Iowa State are actually at halftime. Texas is up 34-31. So, of course, it's going to be a close game, one-possession contest, as Chris Beard has always mentioned about all the games of the Big 12. And, of course, for those that are asking, like I said, we'll get to some of your comments. I know one person was asking how the team looks relaxed and loose to Gary Joyner. Am I sensing the same? I think I am. As Chris Beard had mentioned today in the post-game, or I guess pre-game presser, if you will, after their practice on Wednesday here, they were very loose. He wants his team to have as much fun as they can, kind of enjoy the moment that is March Madness. He called it a little bit of the best time of the year. And for those that are unaware or just haven't been able to kind of get to Sprint, the Sprint Center, pardon me, and then, of course, Kansas City, Missouri, here's one clip from practice where Texas Tech is working on their rebounding.
Shot!
Once again, you saw a couple players there, Zaire Smith, and of course some other guys as well. But of course, everyone kind of wants to know how Keenan and Zach are doing. This is what Zach had to say about the injury kind of earlier this week while we were able to talk to him on Monday.
I mean, I just said progress is pretty well. Just going back out there, getting a rhythm, and just trying to stay healthy.
Once again, Zach Smith, a man of few words, but when he does talk, he certainly knows what he's talking about. And certainly one thing that you want to do is get in a rhythm, especially on the offensive end. And of course, when you are in rhythm, that's going to certainly help if you are healthy. And of course, everyone that's been asking about Keenan and Zach, yes, they're about as healthy as you can be. I mean, they got some rest because they were able to not play against West Virginia. You saw Keenan Evans score 23 second-half points as he was able to help Texas Tech not only end the regular season on a win, but earned a senior day victory for himself and 4 other seniors, that being Naeem Stevenson, Tommy Hamilton, Justin Gray, Keenan Evans, and then, of course, Zach Smith. Oh, man, having a little brain fart there. But, of course, everyone kind of wants to know some other things as well. Let's kind of get to some of the comments here. Durain Castleberry, it's kind of a little bit farther than I'm used to. So, no, you're fine, Brad. Like I said, Bradley's holding it, so if I'm looking to the right, it's because he's trying to do what he can here. How has Keenan looked in practice? At least from the practice we were able to see, he looked like he was going through everything, so certainly a positive deal for Tech. As I mentioned, the extra rest, especially today being in the first-round bye, is going to help Texas Tech as they try and get their first victory in a Big 12 tournament in a very long time, in several years, so to speak. Joe Duncan, we'll see everyone at the Sprint Center, so it looks like Joe Duncan will be here. Looks like you'll be having fun. Gary Joyner, like I said, answered your question about them being relaxed and loose. Chris Beard wants them to enjoy themselves during March Madness, so had a little bit of fun. Had a little note in my notebook here that you can check out on LubbockOnline.com. Then, of course, if you're in the Lubbock area, at the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal, where Texas Tech had a one-on-one between their SID Matt Dunaway and then, of course, Chris Ogden's son, Bo, where he was able to make a game-winning layup on his 10th birthday. So, little note on that, just as some things that you can kind of do here. So, let's see what else we got here. Kelly and Marciella Christian, have I tried Q39 barbecue? Of course, the barbecue question always happens because everyone kind of knows I love barbecue. Yes, I've been here before and was able to have Q39 along with Arthur Bryant's and Gates. All of them are delicious. Q39 is probably my favorite right now, although they all have their own special fun that you can have. But speaking of some other fun stuff that we can do, let's try and get some other quotes here for those that are just joining us. Here's what Chris Beard had to say about his contract or new contract extension, 6 years for a little bit more than $19 million earlier this week.
Putting trust in our coaching staff and me personally to lead the program. We're just getting started. We've got a vision for this thing to build it to where we can compete for championships on a yearly basis. Where a good year is not getting in the tournament, a good year is getting a good seed where we can make a run. This is our vision, and it's exciting for me personally that I share that with the leadership of this school, especially Tony and Kirby, who I work with on a day-to-day basis. I'm also really appreciative of everybody that came before us. I think the great opportunities that we find ourselves in today with college basketball, from a player point of view, from a coaching point of view, and obviously with the incomes and things like this with the tournament, I think you got to always remember and thank the people that came before us. All the players that played at this school and they didn't have all the luxuries of private charter and facilities like this. Those guys are the ones that created the game that we all benefit from today. And it's certainly with coaching. Again, it's humbling when I think about, my mentors, where Coach Knight started at West Point in Indiana, and then the life that we live today because of basketball. It's because of those people at our school, Gerald Myers and James Dickey and Coach Knight and all these people that came before us. They create the opportunities that we all have today as players and coaches. So on a day like today, I always reflect of where I came from and all the people that helped pave the road.
All right, everyone, like I said, that was Chris Beard talking about his new contract extension. And then, of course, we also have some quotes from today as well. He mentioned who he would rather play, Texas or Iowa State. I know for those that just joined us, or that had joined us at the start of this, you've already heard it. But for those that are just joining us, some of the new followers here, I know we were starting at 10. Now we've got 15 to 17, so we'll obviously get to your comments and questions. But here's what Chris Beard had to say as to which team he would rather play, Texas or Iowa State.
Neither one. I'm not looking forward to playing anybody in this league. Got great respect for both teams. I think Texas is a team that's very, very talented, and Shaka does a great job. They've overcome some adversity themselves. They're playing really good basketball right now and can beat you in so many ways. And then Iowa State's a team that nobody in our league wants to play. They're just they're so close. You know, they've lost a few games, but they've been in every game. They got really talented players. 3 guys on the all-conference team in the Big 12 speaks for itself. We all know what's coming with Iowa State as soon as they get everybody back on board, so nobody wants to play them right now, myself included.
Once again, that was Chris Beard on playing either Texas or Iowa State. Certainly both are playing very well, at least at halftime here at the Sprint Center. Texas owns a 34-31 lead. For those that weren't able to watch the earlier game, Oklahoma State continued its winning streak, is now 19-13 on the year with a 71-60 win over Oklahoma in that game. Trae Young was held to 22 points, was only able to get to the free throw line 3 times, made all 3 of those shots, but it just goes to show, as Chris Beard said earlier on this year, Oklahoma State is able to play aggressive on the defensive end but does not foul, and that certainly showed because that's a guy in Trae Young who averaged about 10 free throws per game, so certainly a huge deal there for Oklahoma State as they get a victory in which 3 players, led by Cameron McGriff, scored in double figures. Cameron McGriff had 18 points, 9 rebounds. Jeffrey Carroll, a very talented forward as well, had 13 points and 13 rebounds, had a double-double for the Cowboys as they won that game. But of course, the game that everyone's kind of talking about is Iowa State and Texas, or Iowa State Texas. That's the winner will be playing Texas Tech at 6 p.m. on Thursday. That game will be on ESPN2, of course, tomorrow. Or if you're here in Kansas City, you can check that game out at the Sprint Center, of course. For those that are kind of asking some of the questions here, Gary Joyner is asking, do you think the loss of the Kansas center Udoka Azubuike changes the tournament outlook? It certainly changes the outlook for Kansas, although when you look at what happened here, obviously sprained his MCL earlier this, or I believe it's the UCL, MCL or UCL, I apologize, can't remember which one it was, but holding him out, certainly you want to look towards the future, and then of course the future would be the NCAA tournament, so they're going to check it out on Sunday, was the part of the press release that they had sent out. So certainly helps other teams that are looking to make a run in this tournament, especially against Kansas, a team that was already injury depleted and needing some help inside. Now they're going to probably have to go to Mitch Lightfoot, and then of course, as you've seen before, try and get hot from the three-point line to win some games. But certainly playing very well, even though everyone kind of saw them as a vulnerable team earlier on this year, they were still able to win their 14th straight Big 12 championship in the regular season. Now they're trying to get a conference title, which of course assures a team of a spot in the NCAA tournament. Time to get to some other questions here. Dwayne Castleberry, if we win, I'm guessing that's Texas Tech, what seed do you see us getting? Well, right now, I would say, at least from what I've read, 3 to 4 is what you're looking at. If you certainly get a win here, a 3 seed is certainly what you're looking for, because that could potentially get you to Dallas, where, of course, as I mentioned in previous post-game and pre-game chats, that's where you want to go, because there's a huge Texas Tech alumni base, and that could almost be a home game for you. It'd be huge, because that would be a couple of games that you would be able to play in front of a very scarlet and black clad crowd. So that would be huge for Texas Tech in terms of that. Let's see here. Everyone just kind of saying good luck, Tech. Casey Brinkley is asking how Keenan looked in practice. I believe I answered that, but just to let y'all know, Keenan looked full go, along with Zach Smith. Justin Gray looked pretty good as well from the practice we saw this Wednesday. There's a little bit more detail in the Avalanche-Journal in Thursday's edition over on LubbockOnline.com and RedRaiders.com, where I mentioned a player that's actually starting to heat up a little bit on the offensive end. He's had 4 of his last 6 games, he's finished in double figures. You can check out who that is, of course, by checking that story out. That should be out in the next 30 minutes or so as we kind of finish this Facebook Live. Speaking of some other people to talk to, because I'm sure you're tired of hearing me talk, let's listen to what Chris Beard had to say after Wednesday's practice today.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a lot of confidence in myself and the people that I work with. I have one of the best coaching staffs in all of college basketball. And those guys that I get to work with every day are winners. You know, we got 2 guys on our staff that have played and coached in Final Fours. Every guy on our staff has won a championship and won a conference championship. So it starts with the confidence that I have with the staff I work with. And then with our players, you know, we inherited a great foundation from Coach Tubby Smith, who's in the Hall of Fame for a reason. And so we knew we were inheriting a great base, and we've done a great job recruiting and adding these guys to the mix. So, yeah, I don't think that we're better than anybody. Humility is something my mom and dad taught me at a young age, but I'm also understand that nobody's better than us. And this is a game where you go out there and the best team wins. And I believe Texas Tech's a great university. I think we got good players. I think we have good coaching staff, and I expect for us to be a part of the fight.
Once again, that was Coach Chris Beard talking about his confidence going into this Big 12 tournament. Apologize, some things just kind of got stuck here on the phone, but for those that are asking, let's see here. Joe Duncan, Let's Wreck 'em Tech, looks like he's fired up for this game. Kevin Velez, do we have everyone playing tomorrow and throughout the whole tournament? At least for right now, it looks like everyone's full go. As I mentioned before, watched practice today. Saw a bunch of people going through some drills. Looked like Justin Gray was okay, Keenan Evans was okay, and Zach Smith was okay. And of course, the key was the fact that they've had a couple days off. I know for some of those players, they've only played 2 games in, I want to say, the last 7 days. Of course, West Virginia, Keenan Evans, Zach Smith. Justin Gray did not play for separate reasons. Justin Gray, of course, on short turnaround, had a concussion on Saturday that he suffered by a hard screen from Udoka Azubuike of Kansas. And then, of course, Zach Smith and Keenan Evans played in that game, so he kind of didn't want to hurt their future success, and that's what allowed them to kind of rest, as the training staff and the doctors did not allow them to play. And, of course, Chris Beard is looking out for the players' health. They were told not to play, so they did not. And, of course, they played pretty well against TCU as they won that game 79-75 to end the regular season. So let's see here. Who do we play? I'm guessing you mean Texas Tech. Texas Tech will play the winner between Texas and Iowa State. That game is at halftime right now. As you can see, there's a little TV screen behind me, so you may have to take that out because I know that's not a good thing if you put the TV screen in live action on Facebook Live, so making sure we get that out of the way. But they're at halftime now. Texas leading that game 34-31. I believe that game's on either ESPN2 or ESPNU if you want to check that out. Of course, tomorrow's game, which is at 6 p.m. between Texas Tech and either the winner between Texas and Iowa State, will be at 6 p.m. Thursday. You can check that out, of course, on ESPN2. And, of course, the earlier game, Oklahoma State 71, Oklahoma 60. So the Sooners are out of the tournament. Oklahoma State's still hot, 19-13. Oklahoma finishes with an 18-13 record, at least in terms of the conference tournament. Let me see here. Peter Morales, like I said, who do we play? Kind of got that. Appreciate the comment there, Kevin. Brent Atkinson, go get him Beard. Obviously, he's fired up. Other than that, let's get to one more quote here from Chris Beard from today's practice, and then we'll call it a day, as it's at the 17.5-minute mark, and we'll call it a day.
Yeah, I hope so. We've got some veteran guys in that locker room that I think understand what March is like. We've been spending a lot of time talking to our guys again about here's our plan. We've always said we wanted to be a part of the fight in February and March. We want to play relevant games in the month of March, and now we have a chance to do that. And now we want to execute our plan. The plan was to win these games, not just play in them. So I'm confident that our players understand how difficult it's going to be, but how possible it is this month.
Once again, that was Chris Beard talking about the Big 12 championships, which the Texas Tech men's basketball team will be competing in tomorrow at 6 p.m. Thursday between either the winner of Texas or Iowa State. That game is at halftime right now, 34-31. The Longhorns lead. At this point, like I said, for those that were not here earlier, Chris Beard had mentioned the fact that either one's going to be a tough out, or either one is going to be a tough matchup. As he said, always don't want to play any team from the Big 12, which he figures is the toughest conference in the country. Let's see here. Joe Duncan, appreciate you, man. Like I said, appreciate y'all watching. It's at the 20-minute mark. It's a little bit longer than what we normally do, but as I've said before, we'll do this hopefully about 2.5 to 2 hours before game time. Take your comments and questions before. If you have any questions about health or anything like that, we'll answer those before the game tomorrow, and then, of course, after the game as well, whenever Texas Tech finishes up the game that starts at 6 p.m. Thursday tomorrow, which will be on ESPN2 in the Big 12 championships. But on that note, looks like we don't have any more comments. Appreciate y'all watching another edition of the Red Raiders pregame chat brought to you by the Rager Dykes Auto Group. I'm Carlos Silva from the Lubbock Avalanche-Journal. We'll talk to you at the beginning or right before Texas Tech takes on either Texas or Iowa State.